We are back here on the Cowboys Report. It is an at-home style video. I am at home with the kiddo due to inclement weather, so we're going to do it more podcasty style without the fancy graphics. My apologies for that, but the show must go on. We got coaching stuff to discuss, a lot involving Mike McCarthy with the off-season now here. It is the off-season. I know it's not the normal style video, but I would greatly appreciate a like on today's show. That'll help get the views up here as we ramp up into the off-season. Free, simple, easy to do. Do me a favor, like today's video. We're going to begin with the coaching latest on Mike McCarthy. As we sit here filming this fairly early Monday morning, status remains uncertain. While other teams are making decisions on their head coaches, the Cowboys are not, to the surprise of, I really think, nobody involved there. McCarthy's contract expires next week, January 14th. What I think we're facing here is, despite a lot of weird comments made by Jerry and uncertainty both ways maybe, both sides have to agree to a deal. And both sides have to agree to what that deal looks like. Jerry's making weird comments about incentive stuff, and I don't know why McCarthy would be on board with that. Jerry made a lot of weird comments post-game saying, I don't know that I am considering making a change, and it's a given I've decided. If we're talking about a deal, then it's the determining of McCarthy returning, his exact word, and the negotiating go hand in hand. So if I want him back, it's back on my terms, I guess is really what that means. Mike saying after the game that he does want to come back. He's invested a lot there. Mike also caught, hugging all of the assistant coaches, which, maybe that was a just in case I don't return thing. I want to make sure everyone feels the love, or maybe if you don't come back, we'll see what happens on that front. There's still a lot of uncertainty as we sit here early Monday morning, January 6th, with just what the heck's going to happen with Mike McCarthy. Does he come back? Does he not come back? Is that a Cowboys choice? Is that a McCarthy-led choice? I think there's been some backdoor dealing with McCarthy, trying to figure out what potentially other jobs could become available. So the Bears have been linked in a more speculative sense. I don't really know what the Cowboys are going to do. The one thing I do think I know will end up happening, it's not going to come today, probably won't come tomorrow, it might not even come Wednesday, when you can start doing the whole process of doing virtual interviews with coaches who are available, and you can interview Mike Vrabel, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, whenever. I expect the Cowboys to drag this out. Fair or not, I think your over-under is like the Eagles game on Sunday, because that's what the Cowboys did last time with Jason Garrett. I think it's a terrible process. I'll rant on that here in a little bit, but I do think it's a expectation on my end that this is not going to be a smooth process, because the Cowboys never handle this smoothly. So we do have a pinned comment for you guys on today's show, even without the graphic to go along with it. Do you think the Cowboys will keep Mike McCarthy as their head coach? Y for yes and for no. Go vote at the pinned comment of today's show, especially if the ad comes here on YouTube. Now, one of the things Jerry said post-game was, it's not about comfort. Nothing's comfortable, he said right now. I actually do think this is about comfort. Because if you were to launch yourself into a head coaching search, you would be bringing in the risk that it's worse, that it wouldn't be as good as it was with Mike McCarthy. And you would also be bringing in the upside that it would be better than what it is with Mike McCarthy. So I do think it is about comfort, that they are comfortable thinking that Mike's going to get them 10 wins every year. And although the Jones boys say they want to win a championship, I don't think they want to win a championship at the cost of having several down seasons or even a down season in a row. They want to be a playoff team every year. That is their goal, I believe. Now, they think that gives them a better chance over the long run of winning that coveted Super Bowl, but I do think they think that with McCarthy at the helm, they're going to win 10 games, and they'll be in the playoffs each and every single season. Now, Jerry was also making a lot of weird comments about, the fans would like it if everyone was incentive-based, and he thinks that should, he'd like to have that for the coaches. It's not how it works. And, by the way, I don't care about incentives for coaches. Do you know why? Because there's no salary cap on coaches. There's no limit to the spending in terms of what you are able to do with paying your head coach versus paying your roster. There is zero overlap unless your ownership is cheap. And that's my concern. that they haven't been paying McCarthy very much, and they're just going to let it ride because they think it's cheaper and less risk involved there. I also wonder how much of a negotiation is going to take place between these two sides. If we go with the theory of it's a how of McCarthy comes back and not does he come back, do the Cowboys want a new play caller? Does McCarthy want that? Would he sign up for that? Does McCarthy get tired of dealing with all the Jones boys crap that we constantly complain about? I bet McCarthy complains about that as well. So my guess is that this drags out, and I feel pretty confident in that. As for does Mike come back? Don't know. Feel like it's more likely than it was, 2 months ago, but I still have my doubts if they do that. I have my doubts that both sides get what they want in potential negotiations, and maybe the Cowboys do get a late jump to a coaching search. We'll talk about one prime candidate here that I think is maybe not as likely as it was even just a day ago even. We'll get to that here in just a minute, but today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. Or maybe your team's not playing live like the Cowboys. Although you can go to an NBA game, you can go to a variety of other things, concerts, comedy, theater, and a whole lot more. It's curation designed to save you even more to get better value on tickets to your next big event. I always advise using the all-in pricing feature. It's a toggle off-on, shows your total cost up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. The Game Time guarantee is this: if you find tickets in the same section and row, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find them for less. Download the Game Time app over at GameTime.co. Create your account. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account. Redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Appreciate Game Time sponsoring us here at the Cowboys Report. Let's talk Mike Vrabel here. Patriots fired in a bit of a surprise head coach Rod Mayo after their Week 18 win. They Lovie Smithed him. He won the game. They lost on one pick, and they fired the head coach. And Vrabel was instantaneously linked as the front runner for the job, which isn't a surprise to anybody, I think. He played there from 2001 to 2008. He had made comments that, not every place was like New England when he went back there for some retirement ceremony stuff, and that upset the Titans owner. I think led to him getting fired in Tennessee. Now, Bobby Bell had reported that Vrabel would 100% be interested in the Cowboys job, and I do believe that. I also think it is very telling that we have seen a lot of different teams get connected to, hey, Vrabel might be the favorite here. Now, I think part of that is he is a popular candidate with a lot of potential different connections to a variety of jobs that's already opened. I also wonder how much of this is Vrabel going like, I want to get a job, I want to get a job, I want to get a job, and that ends up being him being favored with a pretty significant mindset there. He obviously, if you haven't heard this already, I've mentioned it before, he has a good friendship with Stephen Jones from their time on the competition committee. That would be a key factor. I don't think the Cowboys want to bring in someone who's going to demand the front office drastically changes their ways. He's friends with Tom Brady, had made him a heavy candidate for the Raiders job if that one comes open. As of filming, no decision made. Patriots, obvious connections there. He already interviewed for the Jets head coaching gig. The Saints and Bears he is expected to interview. I will remind everyone of this because I stand by it, and I think it is 100% the proper process. You can't always control the results when it comes to a head coaching search. You can't control the results for who you are able to hire and how that hire goes, but you can control the process. And I think the Cowboys' process when it comes to the head coaching search has stunk for a long time. Since they did a real coaching search and hired Wade Phillips, they didn't do one for Jason Garrett. They interviewed two people for the Mike McCarthy job. They interviewed Marvin Lewis and McCarthy. It's not a real coaching search. That's they picked their guy and ran with him. So if they move on for Mike or Mike moves on for them, whatever, I want a real search. I don't want to do this nonsense of interviewing 4 guys, the bare minimum, and you hire the second guy you interview and you don't really expand your coaching pool. We've gone through head coaching lists. There's a dozen offensive minds you could potentially interview. There's a dozen former NFL head coaches in some capacity you could potentially interview. There's no reason that your interview request list, when you can start the virtual interview process as early as Wednesday, there is no reason you shouldn't have double digits on that list. Like, there's just no reason to do that. Because otherwise, you're potentially limiting yourself. Interview a dozen guys. Maybe one of them blows you away. I bet whoever interviews Joe Brady is going to be blown away by him. So let him come into my building and interview with me. What's the downside? It's just time and effort. It's all it takes. Give me more time. There are days I wonder if Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones actually put in more time and effort than we as fans do. Don't let that be the case for a coaching search. That's all I'm asking for. So who do you want as the Cowboys head coach if they make a move on from McCarthy or he moves on from them? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Mike Zimmer, let's go to him here. He did not commit to coaching at all in 2025 after Week 18 wrapped up. Zimmer saying, we'll see. I'll take some time to make a decision. I would also argue that I would be far less interested in McCarthy returning if Zimmer didn't. Because I think Zimmer is a huge reason why your team played better down the stretch. If your defense stayed a bottom 5 unit as they were to begin the season, you would have been picking the top 7 probably instead of picking at 12. You would have lost 2 or 3 more games at minimum as far as I'm concerned. Probably 3. Your defense played really well. I liked a lot of what I saw from Mike Zimmer. Regardless of who your head coach is, I want him to choose your next DC. I have no issues bringing back Mike Zimmer as my defensive coordinator in 2025. Now, you got to make Zimmer do it. And I do wonder at some level if this is Zimmer playing the leverage game. I mean, he certainly knows how to handle the Jones boys. He's been around there long enough. I also wonder if he put up with the Cowboys for a year and went, I'm just going to get engaged to my model girlfriend and right off in the sunset. That's what Micah implied, by the way. So we shall see what ends up happening with Zimmer. I do think like a worst case outcome this year is you have your head coach in McCarthy, but you're doing a defensive coordinator search. That would not inspire confidence in me for this upcoming offseason. We will have more videos for you, hopefully back in the office on Tuesday with the graphics and everything. Live shows Thursday. Be live Friday for the CFP semifinal as well. So do not miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV.